You walk into a room you've entered 100 times before, and in a half second, you feel the drop. Conversations cool. Eyes slide off you and find the floor. If you've lived this, you might assume it's a misunderstanding following a recent clash, but that is the amateur version of a smear campaign. The dangerous version runs in reverse. The work begins quietly, patiently, long before there's any open conflict. By the time you notice the shift in the air, a story has already grown in rooms you've never been in. The verdict was written before you arrived. To survive this, we have to stop looking at the interpersonal drama and instead map the exact mechanical shape of how a manipulator rewrites your history. Once you see the mechanism, it stops working. The opening move looks like a worried sigh, a comment like, "I'm just concerned about them." The manipulator is quietly seeding the soil long before launching an attack. As linguist Karen Stolznow points out, the goal here is to rewrite history. This animated diagram shows how it works. The manipulator isolates a few verified, true moments, like the time you set a boundary, and surrounds them with fabricated context. Those isolated true details act as a Trojan horse. Because the listener can verify the small things, the lies riding right next to them slip past unquestioned. Then comes the camouflage. The person running the campaign almost always presents themselves as the wounded party. When someone tells a sad story about how badly you treated them, with tears in their eyes, the listener stops fact-checking. They offer protective comfort instead. One person whispering in a corner is rarely enough to turn an entire room cold. To scale the damage, the manipulator uses a tactic called abuse by proxy, or flying monkeys. They recruit mutual friends, relatives, and coworkers to carry out the attack. These proxies are fed a steady diet of one-sided information over time. Eventually, turning against you feels like an act of loyalty to someone they believe is vulnerable. Picture a woman named Maya. After a breakup, her ex starts checking in with their mutual friends, voice heavy with concern, hoping she gets help. He never makes a direct accusation. The attack succeeds because it is delivered by sincere, well-meaning friends who genuinely believe they are doing the decent thing. We have to ask why rational people allow a one-sided story to override their own independent judgment. This diagram shows the visual array from Solomon Ash's famous 1950s psychology experiment. Participants were asked which of the three lines on the right matched the target line on the left. When Ash surrounded the real participant with actors who confidently gave the wrong answer, 80% of people denied the obvious truth sitting right in front of them to match the group. If humans conform on an obvious visual task, they will easily fall in line when evaluating blurry, unverifiable gossip. This network map illustrates the first engine of this behavior, normative influence, the psychological drive to go along with the group to avoid being the social outcast. The second engine is informational influence, the assumption that if the entire group agrees, they must possess evidence that you lack. The manipulator exploits us by recruiting from within your shared social circle. Voices from our own in-group trigger our strongest conformity responses. Surviving this means fighting the concentrated gravitational pull of human evolutionary survival. The story is planted. The crowd conforms. Then you finally find out what's being said and attempt to defend yourself. You get upset, you raise your voice, you demand to know who said what. Because the manipulator pre-planted a narrative that you are unstable, your justified anger acts as confirmation of the lie. Once your support network is gone, you are left alone with someone else's story. This isolation forces you to question your own grip on reality. Struggling against these knots only pulls them tighter. Your innocence and your guilt produce the exact same evidence. That cold room you walked into represents a story successfully installed, regardless of the actual facts. A planted story is fast and coordinated. The truth is slow, doubtful, and asks questions. The people who turned away so quickly never actually saw the real you. They met a fictional character written in your name. Naming the mechanics of this trap strips it of its power to erase you.